I never thought I'd be caught. Not like this. Not with my girlfriend standing in the doorway, eyes wide, lips parted, and that unmistakable look, the one that said, "You've been hiding something." There I was in her bedroom, wearing the pale lavender blouse she'd left casually draped over the chair last night. The silky fabric felt foreign against my skin, but strangely comforting. I was trying on her clothes, something I never dared do before, because somehow it felt like the safest place to be myself. I heard the soft click of her key in the lock, and my heart stopped. I scrambled to pull the blouse off, but it was too late. She was already there, frozen in the doorway, caught between surprise and something else I couldn't name. "Why are you wearing my clothes?" she asked, her voice softer than I expected, almost hesitant. The room felt smaller suddenly, the air thick with tension. I swallowed, feeling my cheeks burn hotter than the summer sun. I wanted to disappear, to crawl under the bed and hide forever. But instead, I just stood there, caught, exposed, vulnerable. The secret I'd kept for years, hidden behind baggy shirts and jokes, was suddenly laid bare in the soft light of her room. You see, this wasn't just about clothes. It was about who I was underneath all the layers I'd worn like armor since I was a kid. The skirts, the blouses, the soft textures, they weren't just fabric. They were pieces of a truth I'd been too scared to speak aloud. She stepped inside slowly, closing the door behind her. The rain tapped quietly against the window, the only sound other than our breathing. "I always suspected," she said, sitting down on the edge of the bed, eyes locked on mine. "But I wasn't sure if you'd ever tell me." Her words felt like a lifeline tossed into a stormy sea. I wanted to confess everything. The late nights spent dressing in secret, the way I practiced walking differently, the quiet longing to be seen for who I really was. But fear clenched my throat, and the words stuck. Instead, I whispered, "I'm sorry you had to find out like this." She smiled, the kind of smile that didn't judge, that didn't reject. "You don't have to be sorry. You're safe with me." In that moment, something shifted. The room didn't feel so small anymore. The walls I'd built around myself began to crumble, brick by brick. But even as relief washed over me, uncertainty crept in. What did this mean for us? For me? For the person I was finally letting out? She reached out, her hand trembling just slightly, and brushed a stray hair behind my ear. "Let's figure this out together," she said softly. I nodded, feeling a flicker of hope and fear tangled up inside me. My secret wasn't hidden anymore. And for better or worse, my journey had just begun. We sat together on the bed, the soft hum of the rain outside wrapping the room in a quiet cocoon. The lavender blouse still clung gently to my skin, the silky fabric cool but strangely soothing. Her eyes searched mine, open, curious, patient, and I felt the weight of all the unspoken years pressing down on me. "I never wanted you to find out like this," I began, voice barely above a whisper. "I've kept it hidden for so long. Not just the clothes, but everything, the way I feel inside." She nodded slowly, encouraging me without words. So I took a shaky breath and let the walls come down. When I was a kid, I didn't understand it. I just knew that the boys' clothes didn't feel right. I envied the girls, the way they moved, the softness in their voices, the way their clothes draped around them like second skin. My fingers nervously twisted the edge of the blouse. It wasn't about being different for attention or a joke. It was something deep inside, a quiet longing I buried beneath layers of normal. My voice cracked a little, and I looked away, feeling the sting of shame. I was scared of being judged, afraid I'd lose everyone if they knew. Her hand found mine, warm and steady. "You're not alone," she said softly. "I wish you'd told me sooner." "I wanted to," I admitted, voice trembling. But every time I thought about it, the fear got louder, the fear of losing you, or worse, being seen as less. I kept practicing in secret, trying on your clothes when you weren't home, watching videos on how to move, how to soften my voice, even how to walk. A shy smile flickered despite the tension. It became a secret ritual, my way of feeling whole, even if only for a little while. Her gaze softened even more. "That sounds so lonely." "It was," I said quietly. "But being with you, I've always felt safe. And now that you know," my voice faltered, "I don't know what comes next." She squeezed my hand, her eyes shimmering with something I couldn't name, understanding, maybe, or a spark of hope. Next is what we make it. Together. A wave of relief washed over me. I felt like I could finally breathe without holding back. I want to be seen, I confessed. Not just as your boyfriend, but as me. The me I've kept hidden. Her smile was gentle but radiant. Then show me. Let me see all of you. I glanced down at the blouse again, feeling a tentative flutter of courage. Can we try? Just for a little while. Her eyes lit up with warmth. I've been waiting to help you if you'd let me. The air between us softened. The fear began to ebb, replaced by a fragile hope. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was alone in this. The rain outside slowed to a whisper. Inside, a new story was quietly beginning, one where secrets could be shared, where vulnerability was met with love and WG. Her hand still holding mine, she stood and walked over to her closet, a gentle smile playing on her lips. Come with me, she said softly, her voice a tender invitation rather than a command. I followed, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The small bedroom, filled with soft pastel hues and the faint scent of vanilla candles, felt like a sanctuary now. She opened the door wide, revealing rows of delicate fabrics, dresses in every shade from blush pink to deep burgundy, soft silks and satins folded carefully beside lace-trimmed tops. The colors, the textures, they called to something deep inside me I hadn't dared explore before. Pick anything you want, she said with a shy laugh. Anything you think feels like you. My fingers trembled as they brushed across the hangers, my breath catching as I touched a powder blue dress, so light and airy like a cloud. She watched me with such kindness it made my throat tighten. I never thought I'd wear something like this, I murmured. That's the point, she replied. It's about discovering parts of you you've hidden away. No judgment here. Carefully, I pulled the dress from the rack and turned to her, feeling suddenly exposed, as if she could see every secret I'd buried deep inside. She smiled and nodded encouragingly. Go on. Let me help. With gentle hands, she helped me slip out of my clothes, her touch light and reassuring. When the dress settled around me, I was struck by how soft the fabric was against my skin, the way it swayed slightly as I moved. The mirror caught my reflection, and for the first time, I saw not just a man trying on a dress, but someone fragile, beautiful, and utterly real. She stepped close, brushing a stray lock of hair behind my ear. Look at you, she whispered. You're gorgeous. Her words sent a shiver down my spine, a mixture of vulnerability and unexpected pride blooming inside me. I felt like I was melting, layer by layer, the masculine armor I'd worn so long beginning to dissolve. Now, she said, pulling out a small box from a drawer, let's try some makeup. Just a little. My heart pounded. The idea terrified me, but her gentle gaze promised safety. She showed me a soft pink lipstick first, then a subtle blush, and finally a light touch of mascara. As she applied each, her fingers were careful, almost reverent, as if this transformation was a sacred act. I closed my eyes, feeling the brush glide over my cheeks, the light scent of rose mixing with her perfume. When I looked up again, the face staring back was softer, warmer, more delicate than I'd ever dared imagine. Beautiful, she breathed, her smile bright and full of wonder. Then came the wig, long, chestnut waves that cascaded over my shoulders, framing my face in a way that felt both foreign and thrilling. As she fastened it gently, I caught a glimpse of the new me in the mirror and barely recognized the shy girl staring back. She reached out to steady me, her eyes full of tenderness. Breathe. This is just the beginning. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. The way she guided me through every step, the way her voice softened when she said, "You're doing so well," made me want to surrender completely to this new, delicate self. We moved on to posture. She stood behind me, adjusting my shoulders, encouraging me to walk with a sway she demonstrated. My movements were awkward at first, tentative steps with a softness I was unused to, but with her patience and gentle corrections, I began to feel the rhythm. Each time I glanced in the mirror, I caught a flicker of something unfamiliar yet exciting, the burgeoning grace of femininity unfolding within me. The day slipped by in a haze of whispered encouragements, soft touches, and quiet discoveries. She pulled out jewelry, delicate earrings that sparkled in the light, a slender bracelet that tickled my wrist, and every small detail helped shape this new identity taking root. Between moments, she'd lean close and murmur, "You're my twin now, my perfect match." Her voice held a mix of playfulness and reverence that made my heart flutter. There was no rush, no pressure, only an unfolding of trust. I felt like I was learning to breathe again, this time with a softness I'd never known I could have. At one point, she took my hand and led me back to the bed, sitting close enough that our knees touched. "How do you feel?" she asked, eyes searching mine. I paused, feeling a swirl of emotions, fear, excitement, confusion, but also an unexpected peace. "Like I'm finally seen," I said softly. "Like this is who I'm meant to be, even if just for now." She smiled and brushed her fingers over my cheek. "And I'm here. We'll take this journey together." Her words wrapped around me like a warm embrace, and in that moment, I let myself fall a little deeper into the delicate, beautiful surrender of becoming her twin. The days that followed felt like waking from a long, heavy dream. Each morning I found myself slipping more naturally into the delicate clothes she chose, the subtle makeup she applied, and the gentle sway of my new posture. But as the surface changed, so did the currents beneath. The balance of power between us began to shift in ways I hadn't expected. She took the lead now, directing what I wore, how I moved, even how I spoke. It was subtle at first, soft commands like, "Turn a little more to the left," or "Smile gently." But with every instruction, I felt myself melting a bit more into the role she crafted, her dominant presence weaving into every moment we shared. At night, she'd sit close, brushing her fingers along my jawline, whispering, "You belong to me, twin." The words thrilled and terrified me all at once. I wanted to protest, to claim some fragment of control, but my voice caught in my throat, and I only nodded, surrendering. One afternoon, as I stood in front of the mirror, she approached quietly from behind, her hands sliding over my shoulders with a confident, knowing touch. "Hold still," she murmured, adjusting the collar of the dress. "You're not just dressing up anymore. You're becoming her." I swallowed hard, the word her echoing in my mind like a secret chant. Who was I becoming? The girl in the mirror with the soft eyes and trembling lips, or the man I used to be, trapped behind layers of silken lace? The conflict churned inside me, a storm of jealousy, fear, and guilt. I found myself avoiding calls from friends, scared that someone might see the new me and reject it, or worse, laugh. The shame clung tightly, an invisible chain that tightened every time I caught my reflection unexpectedly. One evening, she caught me staring at myself with furrowed brows and sighed softly. "You're scared," she said gently, "but that's okay. You don't have to pretend with me." Tears pricked my eyes, the vulnerability overwhelming. "I'm afraid people will hate me or think I'm a joke." She cupped my face tenderly. "The only opinion that matters is mine. And I love every part of you, especially this one." Her dominance wasn't cruel. It was caring, protective, a firm hand guiding me through the storm. But even as I craved her approval, a small voice inside me whispered doubts. Was I losing myself in this? Was this submission a liberation or a cage? The physical changes weren't just in the clothes or makeup. I caught myself standing a little straighter, moving more deliberately, voice softening when she was near. I felt a new identity blooming, a fragile flower opening under her care. At times, I noticed the way she looked at me, eyes shining with pride, a playful smirk dancing on her lips when I fumbled a step or blushed at a compliment. I was becoming her twin, her reflection, her creation, and it thrilled and terrified me in equal measure. The emotional dependency grew, too. I found comfort in her touch, reassurance in her voice. But with it came a gnawing fear. What if this fragile new self was just a costume? What if she grew tired and gave me back to the shadows I'd emerged from? One night, lying curled beside her, I whispered, "What happens when this ends? When you give me back?" She traced lazy circles on my skin and smiled softly. "You won't be the same, but I'll always be here for the real you and the twin I'm creating." Her words should have comforted me. Instead, they sent a shiver through my soul, a promise and a warning wrapped in one. The delicate balance between surrender and self held me captive, the lines blurring until I could hardly tell where she ended and I began. I was becoming hers, body, mind, and soul, and the power she wielded over me was intoxicating, terrifying and utterly consuming. The night air was thick with quiet tension when she first brought the idea up, her eyes sparkling with that mischievous light that made me both excited and deeply anxious. "Tonight," she said, voice low and commanding, "we're going somewhere special." My heart pounded as I dressed in the outfit she selected, a delicate pastel dress that hugged my frame perfectly, soft lace brushing my arms, and the faint scent of vanilla lingering in the fabric. She helped me with the final touches, adjusting the wig just so, tracing eyeliner along my lashes, lips painted a shy pink. I barely recognized the reflection in the mirror. It was me, yet not me, vulnerable and radiant all at once. The destination was a small gathering of close friends she had invited, people I'd only met briefly, none aware of this new version of me. As we arrived, my nerves spiraled, a cocktail of fear, excitement, and raw exposure swirling within. She led me into the room like a queen with her prized creation. Whispers followed us, eyes darting my way. I tried to steady my breath, feeling suddenly fragile beneath the curious gaze. Then came the twist. One of her friends, a tall man with a teasing grin, stepped forward, eyes locking onto mine. Well, didn't expect to meet your twin tonight," he said with a playful bow. My cheeks burned crimson. She smiled slyly and whispered, "Say hello, darling." The moment felt like stepping onto a stage where I was both performer and audience, helpless and exposed. As the evening unfolded, she took control with a confident grace, guiding me through introductions, correcting my posture, even instructing me on when to laugh or nod. The power shift was palpable. She was the puppeteer, and I the willing marionette. At one point, she whispered in my ear, "Sit like this," and I obeyed, feeling the weight of her dominance settle over me like a warm blanket. The playful humiliation came softly, teasing remarks about my pretty little twin, gentle but firm commands to fetch drinks or compliment others, and a sweet yet pointed reminder of my place beside her. Though my cheeks burned with embarrassment, a strange thrill coursed through me. The shame mingled with arousal, the helplessness igniting a fire deep within. Later, as the party wound down, she pulled me close, fingers tracing the line of my jaw, lips brushing softly against mine. "You're mine," she murmured, "and I love how beautifully you surrender." The kiss sealed everything, the transformation, the power, the trust. I was hers, fully and utterly, and yet more alive than ever. But beneath the surface, a flicker of doubt remained, a whisper that asked if I could ever truly be given back, or if this new self was here to stay. After that night, everything felt different, fragile, electric, like walking on a tightrope stretched between two worlds. She led me back to the quiet sanctuary of our apartment, the echo of laughter and music still ringing faintly in my ears. My legs trembled, partly from the thrill, partly from the exhaustion of pretending. She closed the door behind us with a soft click, then turned, her eyes searching mine with a tenderness that melted my defenses. "Look at me," she whispered. I lifted my gaze, swallowing the lump of emotions threatening to spill. Her fingers brushed a stray curl from my face, lingering on my cheek as if memorizing every inch. "I want you to know," she said gently, "that this isn't just a game for me. It's about trust, about who you are and who you're becoming." I nodded, heart pounding, words caught somewhere between fear and hope. Then, as if sensing my hesitation, she reached out and pulled me close, her breath warm against my ear. "And then," she breathed, she opened the door. For a moment, the world stood still, suspended on that single phrase, heavy with possibility. I didn't know what came next, whether it was acceptance, rejection, or something entirely new. But the vulnerability between us was raw and real, a fragile thread binding us together. Her lips brushed mine in a slow, lingering kiss, a promise and a question all at once. As I melted into her touch, I realized this journey was far from over. What she said next changed everything. I whispered, voice trembling. And with that, the story paused, left suspended in the delicate balance between fear and desire. If you want to know what happened next, where this path leads, and how I found myself, and maybe even was given back, check out part 2. Thank you for listening.